Hey, y'all. It's Corbin, and I just want to come on here to talk to y'all about the Real Gangsters of Potomac, Season 9, Episode 3, titled Mama Knows Best. And honestly, that's an interesting title, Mama Knows Best, because it's given what I've seen on my screen is a bunch of mamas cutting up and making some questionable decisions. That's what I've been seeing, but let's get into it. So the episode picks up where it left off at the GNA event, which before we get into the girl getting kicked out, let's talk about the event itself. It sounds like my washer has more to say. I don't know if y'all can hear that. But yeah, like seriously though, with this event, I'm just like, where was the event? Like we got like a little bit of it in the last episode, and then we didn't get any of it in this episode. And I feel like typically on these shows, like when you get an event, especially a charity event, like you get a good chunk of it. And we didn't even find out how much Giselle made. Like, do we know how much she raised? Like typically, you get like a little cute confessional at the end of the event, and it's just like, oh, I'm so glad that things came together, and there's some optimistic, music playing in the background, and then it shows like a few clips of everyone having fun at the event, and it's like we raised, $25,000 and blah 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 blah. Like we didn't get any of that. It was like I said, we got a little bit before the girls came in, we kicked them out, and then boom, all of a sudden it was the next day. It was like pointless. Like we didn't see any charity, we didn't see any GNA. I mean, thank goodness, because I don't need to see any more fashions. But like we didn't see anything. So I was just like, what was the point of this except for just to kick the girls out? Like, if we didn't kick the girls out, what else would have been there, I guess? What else was there to offer, is my question. If the girls had came to the event originally, would we have seen anything? Would we have gotten anything from this? Like, I don't know, y'all. But anyway, the girls get there. Giselle's like, y'all need to go. And honestly, she right. And they got me pissed off because y'all got me up in here agreeing with Giselle. But here we are. What a time to be alive, right? And so they're sitting there shocked, like, what? And they're like, Giselle's like, yeah, y'all need to go. And they're like, well, you told us, Ashley told us to be here at 8. And Ashley's like, well, it's like 8:03. Y'all are still late, technically, which is true, technically. And so they start leaving or whatever, and Jassy, she's going off on Ashley, and she's like, "You told us to be here at 8 o'clock. It is 20:03," and I'm like, "Girl, what?" I had to pull out my phone, and I'm just like, 20:03. Like, what time is that? Like, nobody got time to be no, we don't have time to be translating into military time. Like, just tell it's 8:03, girl. We don't got time for that. And so she's going off or whatever, but Mia and Stacy, they're walking down the stairs, and Stacy's just shocked. She's like, I cannot believe this happened. Like, oh my gosh. And I will say this. I do feel a little bit bad for Stacy. The only reason I feel a little bit bad for Stacy is because last week Stacy was the only one who raised concern on that bus. She was just like, I don't know how this is gonna work, y'all. I don't think we're gonna make it. Like she was the only one who was saying anything. So I feel a little bit bad for her. The only reason it's a little bit bad is because at the end of the day, if you were that aware, then you should have just known to okay, let me just go to the event that I was originally committed to. Okay, like it's as simple as that. I got invited to this event first. Anything else that happens afterwards, when anyone asks for anything, it's like, hey, I have a prior engagement. I can't attend. Sorry, best wishes, send a gift, do what you need to do, whatever. So you were aware enough to realize that this may not work out, but you still went along with it. So just a little bit. I'll give you a little bit, girl, just a little bit. But while they're walking down the stairs, Mia got the nerve to go, oh, this is very tasteless. Mia, girl, Mia. You know what's tasteless? What's tasteless is how you've been carrying on for the last few seasons. That's what's tasteless. What's tasteless is that damn spread that y'all had on later on in the episode. That was definitely tasteless too. At that little, rental, whatever y'all want to call it, for Mia's friend's birthday. That was tasteless. But, girl, whatever. They get into the Sprinter van, and so Ashley takes it upon herself, and let me not even say takes it upon herself because she was just being a flunky because everyone's upstairs hyping Giselle up like, yeah, you told them off. I know they didn't say that verbatim, but that's what I was like. That was the vibe I was getting from them. It's like, yeah, you told them off. You told them off. Like, go down there and give them the QR code and make sure they donate or whatever. So Giselle's not going to go down there and do it. So Ashley went down there to go do it, and Jassy, I'm with her on this, okay? She comes in, Jassy's like, bye, girl. She tries to close the door on her, and honestly, if I couldn't get her out the door, I'd have told the driver to drive off, and hopefully she fall off on the damn highway. No, I don't want anyone getting hurt, but I'm just saying. Like, girl, bye. And so Ashley's like, Jassy's like, come on, like, girl, get off or whatever. She's trying to close the door on her. And then she's like, good night. Like, you have bags under your eyes. And y'all, I got a flashback. I had a freaking, it was like a World War II Cold War flashback of Candace going, good night. Good night. I'm like, oh my God, y'all, please do not let a brawl break out in here because I do not have time for that. But eventually, she gets on, and they all end up leaving. And like I said, that was pretty much like the end of it. We didn't get to see any event. But what do y'all think about that? Because, like I said, I'm on Giselle's side with this. I do feel like maybe she didn't have to be so reactive, but at the same time, I do understand. Like, girl, don't come. But I feel like it's everyone. Oh God, I can't believe I'm about to say this. It's gonna pay me. I already said I'm on her side, so I might as well keep going and commit to it, right? It's everyone's fault except for Giselle. I say it's everyone's fault because just like I said with Stacy, if everyone had committed to it, they should have stuck with it. So once Karen, invited y'all just should have said, hey, we're already committed to Giselle's event. This is where we're going. But it's also Ashley's fault because Ashley sat there the entire night and saw how Giselle was low key kind of spiraling. Giselle was low key losing it. She was pissed. And she just let the girls continue to come. She knew how this was going to go, but it's messy Ashley, so what do we expect? So that right there is her fault too, because she should have told the girls, like, y'all, like, just don't come. Just stay over there where y'all at. So, yeah. It's everyone's fault except for Giselle. See, yeah, literally, it physically pains me to say that, but you got this, Giselle. You having a season this season, girl. You having a season. So, fast forward to the next day, and we're at Stacy's house. And so Jassy shows up to Stacy's house first. And so they're talking, they're catching up on the night before. And Stacy, she says, like, are we supposed to be walking around with security? Because I can't believe Giselle has security. Like, should I get a referral? And let me tell you something, Stacy. Let me, Stacy girl, Stacy, yes, you need security, girl, because I can tell you haven't watched the show, and I appreciate you for not having watched the show because you feel very authentic. You're not putting on for TV or anything. I feel like you are genuinely who you are. So let me tell you something about the show, girl. You need security because they are putting umbrellas to each other's throats. They are throwing butter knives. They are throwing salads. They are throwing cocktails. They are dragging each other in wineries. They are swinging clutches. What else are they doing? They are fighting in nightclubs and picking up champagne bottles, girl. You need security, girl, because you ain't the type of girl, but these types of girls you're rolling around with, it is Baddies Potomac. It is Love and Hip Hop Potomac. You need security. So I would say, if you're going to get a referral from anyone, get it from Giselle because, don't get any fashion advice from Giselle. Don't get any interior design advice from Giselle. We can't expect Giselle to keep a man, but let me tell you something. If one thing Giselle's gonna be good for, she's gonna have some security. So, yeah, go ahead and get that referral from Giselle because, girl, the way they be acting up and cutting up on this show, you don't even know. So while they're talking, Ashley shows up. And so she walks in this door and she's like, the first thing she asks is, should I take my shoes off? And Stacey's like, no, girl, you're fine. And I don't even know. We'll get there in a second, actually. We'll get there in a second. She gets into the kitchen. Her and Jassy start talking. And so Jassy apologizes for closing the door on her. And I wouldn't apologize, but you know what? To each his own. You know, like I said, I would have Ashley would have been hanging on the side of the van while we going down the highway on the way home, or back to the rental place, because I'm sure she had to get that van back, before 10 o'clock. So she apologized for that, though, regardless. And Ashley, she's like, "Oh, thank you," because my shoulder was a little sore. Girl, bye. It was funny, but girl, bye. And so then they start going back and forth though, and she's like, "Yeah, but y'all were acting like gangsters and alcohol." And Ashley was taken aback, and I'm just like, "Yeah, girl, y'all was acting like gangsters and alcohol, especially those little flunkies that was hyping y'all up." So I'm with her on that. So while they're going back and forth, Karen walks in, and so Karen is like, "What the f is going on?" And so they come in and they're just like, "Oh, we're talking about the events from last night." And I know, just because, like Karen said, these girls love Karen more than they love Giselle, which is why, even though it was last minute, they're going to always pick Karen. And so I'm sure once everything happened, somebody called Karen and updated her on everything. And Karen was probably sitting at home with Ray, soaking their toes, just eating it all up, just like. And so she's like, "Well, did y'all get any resolve from it?" And so then it segues into Karen and Ashley getting into it. And Ashley's pretty much like, "Hey, like, you told Giselle you weren't going to invite anybody to your event because it would interfere with our event. But then you ended up messaging them 6 a.m. the day of, and going back on your word pretty much." So somehow, I don't know how we get here, but Karen ends up talking about her birthday, Inquisition. And Lord, take a shot for every time she says Inquisition, because I feel like she done said it like 800 times in the last 2 episodes. But she starts talking about how, well, y'all had a Inquisition at my birthday, and Stacy jumps in and defends her, and she's like, "That is true." And Karen answered all of the questions, and I'm like, "What questions did she answer? Did I miss this part? Was it edited out? Like, what did Karen answer?" But okay, so they start going back and forth, and Karen's like, like, "I can't talk about my situation again, pretty much." And she's like, "I could have got hurt." And Ashley's like, "And you could have taken the life of somebody else." And I'm like, "Thank you. Like, thank you. Y'all can't have me agreeing with the messy side, but here we are. She's right. A clock is right twice a day. Is that the saying? I think so. But she was right there. And so they still going back and forth. And Ashley's like, "You're just deflecting." And Karen was like, "Well, you were deflecting when Michael was when Michael was pinching butts 1, 2, and 3." And then she starts getting into the Uber card, and then she's like, "And those Uber cards you gave me was very shady." She's like, "You should have took those Uber cards and used them to go get a consultation for those acorns of a bunion that's on your feet." Y'all, when I tell y'all, I was taken aback. I was aghast. I was behooved. I was flabbergasted. I don't even know if some of those words were real I just used, but it is how I felt. Ashley had the nerve to take her feet and, well, let me not. Sorry, y'all. It's a work from home situation here, so let me not do that. But she had the nerve to take her feet and put them on Stacy's counter. And she didn't even do it once, like she did it twice. Like she lifted one leg up, and I was like, "You're talking about my bunions?" Put it down, lift the other leg up, and I'm just like, "Girl, she would have got kicked out of my house." So my question is this, y'all, because I know we're gonna be mad regardless. We're gonna be mad regardless. Would you be more mad if? Because remember, she came in the house and was like, "Should I take my shoes off?" Would you be? Are you more mad that she put her feet on your counter with her shoes on, or if her shoes were off and you have raw bunion on your counter? Which one are we more mad at, y'all? Because I don't know. Regardless, she getting kicked out of my house. I'll tell you that. I have yelled at a friend for putting his feet on his own coffee table in his own house while I was hanging out over there. I mean, my DoorDash was out there. Like, put your feet on your table when I'm not here. But, like, I can't imagine if it was my own house. I was taken aback, y'all. Yeah, I just cut it. I was like, I cannot believe this. And I was more shocked that Stacey didn't kick her out. Like that right there, the feet on the counter Ashley got no class, okay? The feet on the counter was more shocking than Giselle apologized later on in the episode. The feet on the counter was more shocking than Giselle and Wendy making up. The feet on the counter would be more shocking than if Karen decided to own up to her mess. Like that was just, I was shocked that she just had the audacity to. I'm like, Ashley ain't got no home training. That's what it is. Ashley just don't have no damn home training, and I just, Lord, Lord. But Stacey did come in with that good shade, talking about some Ashley is beautiful from top to ankle. Because, yeah, girl, you need to get that treated. Because or wear some closed-toed shoes. I don't know anything about bunions, but I don't know if closed-toe shoes, like, hurt it. Like, are you supposed to let it breathe? But she need to get that treated. She need to do something. It was just a mess. But, yeah, y'all. Like, yeah. So we get past that, and they start talking about you. Stacy and Jassy are like, look, if Giselle apologizes, we are willing to move on. And you can hear Karen in the background saying, "Oh yeah, like Giselle will apologize." And I'm shocked that she said that. It's giving like, how do you know she will apologize? Because Karen, you know how Giselle acts. You know how Giselle carries on. So what makes you think she can apologize? It's given. This whole thing is given. Giselle and Karen probably organized this to make a splash because I remember way back when this like first happened, like when they were filming this, like this was like in the blogs or something. So it's given they did this to make a splash because after everything that happened, last season, they're like, hey y'all, coming into the season, we need to do something real quick at the beginning to make a splash. Because how do you know Giselle was gonna apologize unless this was premeditated, girl? But because Ashley didn't even think it. Ashley didn't even. Ashley said in her confessional, she was like, "I just can't see." It wasn't verbatim, but she was like, "I just can't see Giselle apologizing." And I'm like, "Yeah, because this girl's not orchestrated this, Ashley, and you're not in the loop. You're Giselle's flunky, but Karen is Giselle's partner. Karen's the real partner, and people don't understand that. That whole frenemy thing, it's real because they all in cahoots, but it's where we are. So the next scene, we go over to Wendy's house, and Wendy's in the kitchen. She's cooking with her mom, and her mom's just being, a mom. But I'm just gonna say this, and I'm gonna let it go. Y'all notice Wendy's mom looked darker than last season? Anyway, so Wendy and her mom are talking, and so Wendy's like, "Oh, like I have an announcement." And so her mom's like, "Yeah, what's the announcement?" And she's like, "I'm going to North Carolina for my birthday." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I thought she was going to tell her mom that she stopped teaching. That's the conversation I really want to see because we know her mom is going to feel some type of way about that. Like, give us the real girl. But we don't get that conversation. And so they start talking, they continue talking or whatever. And so Wendy starts talking about how one of Eddie's parents reached out to her and said happy birthday. And so I don't know if y'all noticed, but maybe it's weird editing, but the parent reached out and said happy birthday. Either they don't know when her birthday is, or it's weird editing because to say that her birthday had to have like been happening or have passed, but then at the end of the episode, when she gets to the car, she tells the driver, "Hey, my birthday's tomorrow." Excuse me, y'all. And that stood out to me just because when she said that at the end, and I didn't realize it, when she said that at the end, I'm like, oh gosh, I hope she's not that person who's just mentioning her birthday every 2 seconds. But then I came back to the scene and I'm just like, oh, wait a minute. She said one of Eddie's parents said happy birthday. What's going on with that? So it's probably just sloppy editing, which, is par for the course for Potomac. But so one of Eddie's parents reached out, said happy birthday. She's thinking of inviting them to her birthday party. The mom is like, yeah, go ahead and do it. She's just like, don't start and there won't be none pretty much. That's the kind of time she's on. And so Wendy shares that her mom and Eddie's mom were really close and they fell out when Wendy and Eddie got engaged. So I don't like I watch Housewives. I watch all the Housewives. And I typically don't like dive too much into. I kind of just go based off of what I see on my TV. If something comes across the blogs, like I'll see it or whatever. But I don't dive too deep into like the history of what's going on between people. So maybe I missed this, but what's going on with her family? Because I feel like we're missing out on something. And my issue with Wendy is this. I love Wendy. Wendy girl, I love you, but we need to talk about something. I feel like every time there's some drama going on with Wendy and her family, we never know the true story. I don't want to keep going backwards, and I'm not going to. I'm going to say this. This will probably be the last time I reference last season because I know we want to, move forward or whatever. But we got to point out, we point out past behaviors all the time with Giselle. I'm going to do it with Wendy. I'm going to do it with everybody. But I'm not going to keep harping on last season. I'm just going to say this. Last season, there was all this confusion with the whole, NECA situation. And it turned out there was like a situation with like, NECA's people and like Wendy's sister. And it's like we never knew the real story. And I feel like this is kind of like the same pattern again. Like we don't know what the real story is of why you and Eddie's family are like falling out. We only know what you tell us, and I feel like it's not much. And so I'm just kind of looking at her sideways, like, girl, like, what is it? I would rather you, even if it's something messed up, honestly, and it was your fault, I'd be okay with it as long as you're honest about it. Like, there's much worse people on reality TV around here, especially on the Real Housewives. So, girl, just tell us what it is. But I just feel like it just has me looking at her sideways sometimes because I'm like, girl, like, what's the real? We never get like the real tea from you, And I feel like there's just more to the story versus, oh, y'all just got together and all of a sudden her parents were like, oh, we don't mess with y'all. Like, it's weird, especially because when you think about it, I would feel like if we're cool and then our kids get engaged and stuff like that, like that should bring the family closer together. So that was just a very strange. I don't know. It's strange, and I'm not going to spend my head thinking about it because I feel like we're never going to get the full story. So moving on, ain't no point in wasting my time. So the next scene, hold on, let me look at my notes, y'all. Oh, the next scene is Kay. So after we leave Wendy's house, it cuts to a townhome, and I was having another war flashback of Robin. I was like, Robin, you back in that townhome? But no, it was Kay and her man Greg. And so I look down at my phone for a second, and I look up, and Kay's talking to this woman, and I'm like, oh, that has to be her sister. And so I'm looking, and I'm like, damn, is that her sister? And so I rewinded because the title card at the bottom never came up. So I was like, let me rewind it to the beginning of the scene and see who this is. So I rewinded, and when she comes in, I was like, oh my gosh, that is her mother. She looks damn good. They got some good genes. Let me tell y'all, they got some damn good genes. But while they got some good genes, you want me to tell you what's not good? Them cooking, because I don't know what that was. That sad plate that Kay have, that man is gonna starve to death, girl. He is gonna starve. Because I'm just like, girl, what is that? There was too much empty space on that plate. Okay, there was too much empty space on that plate. And then her mom got the nerve to come in here with some damn soup, and it was canned soup still in the can. Like, girl, y'all are gonna starve this man to death. Okay, like, oh my god. And like she could have at least, her mom could have at least took the soup out, put it in a bowl, garnished it, heated up, did something just to make it look like, she cooked it and then brought it over. But now she was just like, here's the can. This is all I got. Look, let me tell y'all something. I can't cook. I have no room to talk, you know. But thank goodness my man, he is a very picky eater. So he only eats three things. So I just make sure I know how to cook them three things very well. But I would have at least like I know how to do some stuff like that. Like I said, I'd have put that soup in a can, garnish it up. I know how to make it look like I made something. I know how to order some takeout and make it look like I made something. Like I would have did something, but that was sad. I'll give Kay an A for effort ish. Her mom though, she getting a C for just bringing them cans. Because you know what? The only reason she not getting an F is just because she had to get in her car and waste some gas to drive over with them. That's the only reason she not getting an F. So, but we learned a little bit more about Kay's situation with Greg. And so Greg was married before. He had three kids, and Kay is the first woman to meet her kids outside of, the mother of the kids, which I thought was nice. But then she discloses that they're building a house together. And I'm like, girl, you're building a house together and y'all not engaged, y'all not doing anything yet. Like, y'all need to get there first. Like, y'all skipping steps, honey. Now, had Kay not wanted to get married, let's say she was just like, I'm not the type to get married. Like, I'm fine with a long term relationship or whatever situation we got, it's fine. then I'll be like, okay. But like the end game for her is to get married. So I'm like, girl, like don't rush it. Like just do what y'all are doing and then wait because anything can happen between here and there. And buying a house or building a house from ground up, that is a big, big step. That is a big purchase. Like one of the biggest purchases you'll ever have in your life. Like I just can't imagine. Like start off living with him, which you're living with him now because I do firmly believe in like you don't know someone until you live with them. But like because me and my husband, we were living together for probably like 4 years before we got a house in an apartment. Because you never know. And it's like, even honestly, I'll say this: like living in an apartment and living in a house are still like two completely different things. Because like we went from like we're used to having like things taken care, taking like we're used to having things done for us. And so like my husband, he doesn't come from a place like in my house. Me and my dad, we was always doing the yard work and stuff like that. My man, he won't doing all of that. So when we got the house, like it was different from okay, like I knew him living in an apartment, but then when we got a house, it was like a different type of living situation. Because now I'm like, all right, like let me show you how to do some take care of a house. It's completely different. So it's like even when you're living with somebody, things can change. It's different. But yeah, y'all, it is what it is. To each his own. If that's what she wants to do, we'll see you in 3 seasons, girl, when it's all falls through. I hope it don't. But we'll be here watching. Okay? So the next scene, we go to Giselle's house. And I use the term house loosely. But you know what? Let me not drag her. It's a new season. Everyone's starting off fresh. We're giving her a fresh slate. And honestly, I've been liking her this season. So I'm not going to drag her house. But Kyle's doing the girls' hair because they're getting ready for prom, and Giselle's like, what's the new dance move? What's the new craze or whatever? And Kyle's talking about some pound town, and I'm like, please get this off my TV. The last thing I need to see is Giselle talking about some damn pound town. Absolutely not. Let's go. Moving on. But then Karen comes in and she's like, is Jamal coming? And Giselle's like, actually, yes. And here we go. Jamal walks right on through the door. So Jamal comes in and they're talking and they're talking about the girls' curfew. And I'm with that one daughter when she was like, look, by 11:30, I'm done. Okay? I'm ready to go home. My social battery is drained. I'm with her on that. Let me tell you, I was in Miami 2 months ago with my best friend, and the clubs out there, they stay open until like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. And let me tell you, I was done. I was done. That was such a tiring week. I was like, I cannot do this. Okay, yeah, I'm an 11:30 girly myself, so I was with her on that. But they're working out the curfew or whatever. The producers start asking Giselle about Jamal having a girlfriend, and Giselle's like, yeah, he got a girlfriend. And she's like, look, at the end of the day, he can do whatever he wants. It's not going to change that he is the father of my kids. And I'm like, I wish that y'all would let this go. Okay, Giselle don't care. Okay, I really don't think Giselle cares. You know, like so y'all need to just stop asking. And I feel like though the thing is like this is all you give us, so what else can we ask? So I do get that part of it, but it's like Giselle don't care that man got a girlfriend. Giselle know her man is messy, so it is what it is. But the girls get ready for prom, and I will say they both look beautiful, but baby, baby, that black dress with the diamonds or whatever this was up here, that was a look. Like I said, they both look good, but that black dress was a look, honey. It was a look. It was given. It was everything. I loved it. So they're taking pictures, looking cute. One of the girls' prom dates come in, and when I saw him, I was like, doesn't surprise me. It don't surprise me at all. But look, before anybody call it out, I ain't got no room to talk. Cause look at mine. I know, so I can call it out. But it ain't surprised me. But we go on to the next scene, and it's Mia and Ink, and they're at this rental, and they have this rental because they want to. Cause Mia, Ink, and G, they all live in the same building because Mia just a mess. That's a messy Mia, and I don't mean messy Mia like she be stirring up mess. I mean messy Mia like she is a mess. But they all in the rentals. They're in the rental because Mia wanted to get away, so she's not popping up on them. and they're celebrating Jackie's man's birthday. His name is Patrick, but Jacqueline calls him PPE loan or protective. What do you call that word? Protective equipment, the PPE equipment, PPE Patrick, whatever his name is. His name is Patrick, but we just call him Patrick. So Mia's talking about how like Jacqueline's been on again, off again with Patrick for like 15 years or something like that. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, why is Patrick getting to know Ink? Like, should he not know like a little bit about him? You know, like he clearly knows G because when they were talking about G later on in the scene, and they were talking about how like he's needy and he needs this and stuff like that, and Patrick was like, he can't help it. Like you have to understand his situation. I'm like, okay, so he clearly knows, what's going on there. But I'm like, I'm surprised he doesn't know a little bit more about Ink. But it's neither here nor there. Jacqueline comes in with the kids, and she brings in this $2 cake. And let me tell you something. I wish I wish I was on some, show, getting paid however many figures, six figures. It's got to be six, getting paid six figures, and or I'm with somebody on that show, and y'all celebrated my birthday, and all y'all got from me is some $15 Kroger cake, some $15 cookies, and I know y'all saw production zooming on them cookies, some Act Two popcorn, some gas station wine, and some Hennessy. Get out my face with this, Mia. Get out my face. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about some love and hip hop Potomac. This is Baddies Potomac right here. It ain't even Baddies Potomac because I heard they don't even eat on that show, but this is what I'm talking about here. Girl, girl, I'd have been pissed. Like, I'm starving. And this is all y'all got is some Act 2 popcorn and some Reese's Cups and a Slim Jim and some Barefoot wine and some Crown Royal. Get out of here, girl. Get out my face with this. And then you try to dress it up and put it in these nice little glasses. Like, girl, bye. But anyway, so they start talking. PPE loan and Ink are off to the side of the kitchen talking. Mia and Jacqueline are off in like the little sitting area talking. And so when Patrick was getting to know Ink, he was like, "Hey, like, do you have any kids?" And so I want to say it was editing because, of course, they didn't show. It felt choppy. Like they panned to Mia and Jeremiah. I think that was Jeremiah. They panned to Mia and one of the kids, and you hear just Ink saying like, "That's mine right there." And I was like, the way it was edited, it was just like really funny because I feel like if he would have just flat out said, "Oh, like that's my kid right there" or something like that, like I feel like the camera would have stayed on both of them while they were talking, and it would have just been like the conversation would have flowed more smoothly. But something about it just felt weird. You could tell it was weird editing. But I will say this: I 100% agree with Giselle and Karen. This may be problematic, but I don't care. I 100% agree with Giselle and Karen when they said that Mia did not protect her kids. She didn't protect her kids for several reasons. One, your kids shouldn't walk in on you sleeping with another man. Honestly, your kids shouldn't walk in on you sleeping with their own father because I don't want to see my parents sleeping together. I'm sure, like, accidents happen, but I don't want to see it. So your kids shouldn't have seen you with another man. You shouldn't have got sloppy with that, okay? Two, G is not protecting the kids either because G shouldn't have aired it out on TV. But then you go and then you start like you push the narrative, Mia. Like you push the narrative. Like this is your storyline now, and the kids have to live with this. So no, you didn't protect your kids because if you did, the storyline would have got shut down at the reunion when Karen was like, "Hey y'all, like the kids are gonna have to see this. Let's not talk about this." But instead, you brought it into the next season and you're throwing it in everybody's faces. So no, I have no sympathy for you right there. Like you're not protecting the kids, and then for you to put them in a situation right here, granted it's not your fault, but you got to be like aware. You know how you're not new to the reality TV show game, okay? You're not new to the reality TV show game, so you should know like things can get chopped up, things can get edited, like they just did with this whole Ink situation. So you shouldn't even have your kids in a situation where editing can screw things up, and they can have him looking like he's saying stuff like this, you know. And I know it may sound messed up that I'm blaming Mia for what production is doing, and I'm not blaming Mia for what production is doing. Production is going to be messy. It's their job to be messy, but it's just like you still put your kids in this situation. So no, I don't have any sympathy. Sorry, y'all. So after that, what happens after that? Where's my notes, y'all? Okay. Oh God, this next scene. Stacy, Stacy, Stacy. All right, Stacy and TJ. So they're having a workout session. Stacy's there first. She's talking to the trainer. She's like, "My friend is coming." TJ comes in. He greets Stacy, gives Stacy a little, nice little cute church hug. He sees the trainer. He's like, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" "Oh, you're so like muscular, like you're in shape or whatever." I'm putting probably a little 10 on 20, but y'all, there was some touching going on. But he was like, "Oh, you're so muscular, or you're in good shape or whatever." And so my whole thing with this situation is this: with this scene, that man was doing had way more physical contact with the trainer than he did with Stacy. It is what it is. From the hug at the beginning to when they hugged at the end to even everything in between. If you just watch his hands, it was almost like he just didn't know what to do with his hands. He couldn't keep his hands with himself. Now, the trainer wasn't bad looking, and honestly, TJ's not a bad looking guy either. So hey, but like, girl, in front of Stacy, in front of my salad, girl. But yeah, so he was just doing too much touching, even during Stacy's confessional, because when you're doing a confessional, it's like you see them in a confessional, then it pans to whatever they're talking about in the scene, and then it goes back to them in the confessional. Watch that scene back and look closely. Those in between parts when it's not showing Stacy talking in a confessional, you can just see him just being super touchy, and I'm just like, you are so touchy on this, like, man, like, Jesus. But Stacy, and I don't feel bad for Stacy. And the reason I don't feel bad for Stacy is because Stacy knows. One, the way she worded things in that confession when she was like, "Oh, he's had other partners." I'm like, "Girl, you know." Two, let's say Stacy didn't even say that. Stacy is a very smart girl. She is very articulate. She is very smart. We can tell just by how she carries herself. Like, she's a smart girl. So she knows. And so it kind of upsets me that, girl, you know this, and you're doing two things. One, you're throwing yourself at this man, talking about some, when do you, how much do you want me, and all this other stuff, trying to push your butt on him and stuff like that. You're throwing yourself at him, and you're too good to be throwing yourself at him. Like, why are you doing that? You're throwing yourself at him, and you're doing all this on TV, knowing that, not that he's. I don't think he just likes men. I think he possibly likes both. I don't think it's just a man thing. I think it's a both thing. I'm gonna just say that. But yeah, girl, no, I don't have any sympathy for you because I know girl. You're a very smart girl. I just don't, and I don't like the fact that one, and two, you're throwing yourself at him at the same time. It just boils down to that. But moving on from that, we go to Mia's apartment, and we done got scenes from Stacy, Mia. Did we get a scene from Jassy? We didn't get any scene from Jassy. We got Stacy, Mia, Kay. We got that whole situation with Karen and them or whatever. And I know we didn't really get any scenes from Karen or Giselle, but it's like Ashley. What's Ashley doing? I guess is my question. Where's Ashley scene? We got one scene from her talking about she's gonna finally get a divorce, and we haven't seen anything since. I'm not about taking away people's incomes, but if they don't fire her expeditiously, I don't even know what to do at this point. I don't even know what to do because this is crazy. Like, we haven't got anything from her. Besides the point, we get another scene from Mia because Ashley's not giving us any scenes. And so we're in her apartment, and I will say the apartment is cute. And I think all of Mia's places have actually been really cute. My problem is this, though, and I'm not trying to attack Mia's motherhood, but she has moved. She said it. She said it. She's moved, what, she said like 4 times? She's moved like every year. She's moved like every season. And each season, she has moved to a different area. Remember, she was in Boston at first, and she was in the high rise with like the view of like downtown and stuff like that. Then she had the rental in Potomac, right? And then I think now she's in DC. I don't know where she was at in between, but like she's moved so many times, and you're moving to different school districts. So what school is your kids going to? Are they homeschooled, or like what's going on? Because I cannot imagine if my parents are just moving every year. I was in a new school district trying to get to know new kids. And then on top of that, now I'm trying to get to know new kids, and then you're on a TV show. We don't know the paternity of, we don't know who my parents are. So it's like I'm moving to new districts, and then I got these kids talking about me because they don't know, I don't know who my daddy is. Like, you're just not putting your kids in a good situation. And this goes back to what Giselle and Karen said. You are not protecting your kids. Okay? I think Mia is a great mother. I think Mia is a great, loving mother, but she's being reckless right now. Let's be real. We got to call it as it is. If we're going to call Karen out about her DUI, we're going to call Mia out too about her recklessness. We calling everybody out, okay? We're going to call her out, calling Karen out. We calling Ashley out about her lack of storyline and how she's never gonna get divorced from Gollum. We're calling all of them out, okay? We calling Wendy out for having her, beef with her family. We are calling everybody out up in here. Because one thing y'all can't say about me is I am not a biased person. I'm calling them all out, okay? So anyway, her and Ink start talking. Excuse me, y'all. Her and Ink start talking, and so see, Ink, he loved the cameras. He is here for it, and he's good at pushing the narrative because he's like, all right, tell me about this girl's trip, Mia. He see, this is the difference between, remember when Mia was with G, they was messing up on camera. G kept forgetting his script. Ink know the script, okay? Ink knows the script. So kudos to you, Ink, because you know the script. So, Ink was ready. It was lights, cameras, action. Okay, tell me about the trip, Mia. So they start talking about it, whatever. And Ink is like, is Auntie coming? Talking about Giselle. And I'm like, all right, Ink, you know the script, but this is where you messed up at. You coming for the relationship killer. So when Giselle starts swinging your relationship every which way but loose, and it's not hard to do already with the messiness of y'all situation, I don't want to hear anything. And we gonna remember this moment, y'all. Remember this moment right here. When next season or later on this season or two seasons down the road, when Giselle is dragging Mia and Ink's situation, remember, this is why it just took this one comment right here.
Sorry, y'all. My man came home, so the pup was acting up because she was excited. She's not really a pup. She old AF. She's 4, but I always call her the pup. But yeah. But anyway, yeah. Mia, Ink, when y'all start getting dragged and swung every which way but loose by Giselle, I don't want to hear it because this was it right here. So Mia ends up revealing that Giselle apologized to her, and so they're fine now, which is ironic because I don't know if y'all remember at the beginning when they were in the van, Mia was like, I don't want to sit down and have tea with her. I don't want to come over with her tacky furniture, and I don't want to talk to her. Mia was talking all of this, acting like, oh, she's not going to accept an apology from Giselle, but here we are. But you know what? Whatever keeps the story moving, right? So then they start talking about Karen, and it's funny because they start whispering, and Mia's like, "Why are we whispering?" He's like, "Cause it's a secret. It's embarrassing." And that whole scene, it was cute. It was funny. They're a little extra, but you know what? It was funny. But moving on. So Wendy, Stacy, Giselle, Jassy, all the girls sit down, minus like Karen, Kay, and yeah, most of the girls sit down. It's Wendy, Stacy, Jassy, Ashley, and Giselle. And so Giselle pretty much ends up apologizing to the rest of the girls. And so then they start getting to know Stacy. And Giselle's like, "Oh, so you have 2 kids?" And Stacy's like, "No, I have one." And so they start talking about that a little bit. And sidebar, Arabella, I think her name is. I can't remember what Stacy's kid name is, but that is the most beautiful name ever. I love that name. It's such a beautiful name. It just sounds like something just like it just sounds pleasant. But they start talking about that, and so Stacy starts talking a little bit about her divorce, and Giselle's like, "Oh, like you sound very sad. Like when I got divorced, I was happy." And I'm like, "Well, Giselle, everyone's relationship wasn't miserable like yours, so what do you expect? We can't all be miserable like you. I know that's what you want, And that's why you're always trying to tear us down, girl. But no, we're not going to all be miserable like you. So they start talking, and then Ashley jumps in and she's like, well, she has a friend anyway. And so Stacy checks her and is like, girl, like, you done came over my house. I done talked to you about my marriage. Like, we done been sitting here kikiing, and you're just going to come here to this table and air out my business. And I'm like, Ashley, Giselle and Stacy were having a conversation. Butt out of it. This was none of your business. That was not your place to air anything out. You need to worry about figuring out what you're doing with Michael. That's what you need to worry about, because we still haven't seen another scene about your divorce or what you're trying to do since like episode one. So worry about that. Like, that really wasn't your place. And you're sitting here trying to control like this narrative or paint this narrative and try to spin things. That's why you're putting things out there. Like, mind your business. So I'm glad Stacy checked on that. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but when Stacy was calling her out, Wendy was like, like a snake, and Ashley rolled her eyes like, catch that tea, girl. Because you know what? You deserved it. But I will say this, Giselle gave some really sound advice, because she told Stacy, she was like, hey, like, your happiness reflects on your kids. So if this man makes you happy, go for it. Now, while that advice was sound, girl, take that advice, but girl, not with TJ, not with this man. Take that advice with another man, girl, because this ain't it. Okay? But yeah, some sound advice from Giselle. I'll give her that. Like, sometimes, like, her first lady kicks in and it feels like, she's good at like coaching the girls and stuff like that and helping the girls out. But yeah, girl, not with no TJ. We don't have time for that. Okay. So the next scene, and it's like the final scene, is the girls. Everyone meets at the airport, minus Stacy, because Stacy had a family member who died in an aviation accident, and Mia said that in solidarity, she's not traveling, she's not flying for the month of May, so she's gonna drive down there and meet them. She was probably pissed off at Ashley too, so she was like, you know what, two for two here, girl. I get it. And so they get on the airplane, and I don't know what Karen was drinking. I'm gonna just say it was apple juice, y'all, because yeah, what was in her cup on that airplane? That ain't none of my business. Anyway, they get, to North Carolina or whatever they're supposed to be. And so my whole thing is this. I'm okay with domestic trips, even if it's not, because I know, Beverly Hills, the girls go to like Vegas, and I know like in New York, they go to like the Hamptons, or they've been to like Miami before. And so I'm okay with domestic trips, even if they're not in big cities, as long as you make up for it with the itinerary and the drama. For example, when Salt Lake City, when they went to Milwaukee, I was like, oh my God, like, why are they going to Milwaukee? This is going to be dumb. But the drama was good. They had some good dinners. They had good activities. Like, they did the whole like beer cave, and even like the guy was like, the beer cave, like, that's a big deal in Milwaukee. They went to like the Harley Davidson Museum. Like, they were doing stuff. And it wasn't like typical stuff. Like, they went to the casino. Like, they were doing stuff. So I hope, as long as we don't get chicken shit bingo, we should be doing better, I guess. Like, I just hope it's like nothing like that. And from what we see next week, it looks like it's gonna be decent. So I'ma hold some hope. I'ma hold some hope. So I'm not gonna knock them yet, but they land. They all get in the cars. Mia and Karen are in one car. Giselle, Wendy, and Jacqueline are in another car. And then the rest of the girls are in the third car. And so Kay and Jassy are getting to know each other. And so Jassy kind of run me a little funny here, because I'm like, girl, they're getting to know each other and they're talking about each other's men. And Jassy was like, yeah, like, my man has, like 3 kids or 4 kids or however many kids or whatever, but I'm his first serious relationship. Girl, Jassy girl. All right, it's time for me to talk to you, girl. It's time for me to talk to you. Jassy, you're his first serious relationship. And then, like, it's the fact that she reiterated it. She was like, I'm his first serious relationship. Like, she said it a second time. I'm like, girl, well, wasn't that serious enough when he was raw dogging these girls and getting them pregnant? Was it not? Is that what's going to happen to you next? Huh? You being careful? I hope so, girl. Like, what's serious about this time that wasn't serious the last time? Because I'm sure all them other girls thought they were serious too. But it was just giving. You're another girl in a rotation, and you're trying not to be another girl in a rotation. So you're going to tell yourself you're the serious girl. Brittany from Salt Lake City. Oops. But no, Brittany's situation is a little bit different. But it's still giving like y'all may not be that serious, but you're trying to come off as serious. I don't know. I don't know. But it just like that whole thing just like rubbed me kind of funny. But we get into the car with Giselle, Wendy, and Jacqueline, and somebody called Jacqueline me as like follower. I can't remember who it was. It's not that serious. Maybe we'll revisit that later. Giselle and Wendy are getting to know each other, and I'm still not convinced. I'm waiting for because I know like Wendy said in an interview, like the way Giselle went about things like it would make sense like how things like play out, and I'm trying to see like I know they had like this that whole they had the sit down, and I know a lot of the sit down was apparently cut out according to Wendy, like it was a 2 hour sit down, and they finally came to resolution, but I'm still not seeing from here. I'm not seeing any progression of their friendship still. Like I haven't like they've barely had any scenes together. They didn't really hug when they all were sitting together when Giselle apologized to everyone. I just wasn't getting much interaction from them. Like this is the first interaction I've gotten from them, so I'm still not convinced yet on until I see it progress more. And you know what? I will give it to Wendy though, because Giselle's just in a confession like, yeah, everything's cool. We're like best friends, and Wendy's like, we're getting there. So the progression's happening, I guess. I'll give it some time. But Mia and Karen, they're in the car together. And so Mia asks Karen, she's like, are you okay? And part of me wants to say that I know the girls are shady, but in some instances, I want to be naive and believe that Mia and Giselle are sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it's shady, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say sometimes they're genuinely trying to check on Karen. And they're having these conversations on camera because, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to drive the narrative, we're supposed to drive the story. So, but I do feel like sometimes they're genuinely trying to check on her. But she asks this, Karen's like, I'm going through a lot, deflection, deflection. I'm surprised she didn't say inquisition. Maybe she did. I don't know. But she was like, I'm going through a lot or whatever. And Mia's like, Karen, it's on the internet, girl. We all gonna see it. And I'm like, thank you, girl. That part would be so me if I was on TV. Like, girl, we all gonna see it. It's all on the internet. And so Karen was like, well, then go read it. She's like, go read it, girl. And so, they're talking, and Karen's just, I mean, Mia's letting her know, like, hey, like, there's gonna be a time where, like, all this is gonna bubble up and you're gonna break. Like, it's gonna all break. Then the screen goes black, and then it's like a few hours later, and then all we see is just all hell breaking loose. And you know what? I'm here for it because, like I said, if we're gonna be here in North Carolina doing nothing, give us some good drama at least, okay? Like I don't want to be sitting around doing nothing, playing like I said, chicken shit bingo. I don't know what we're gonna do in the lake. We're gonna play with lily pads. Like what are we doing out here? But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But it was a cute episode. It was decent, and for it to if the next episode pays off, I feel like this is like a good build up episode to whatever's gonna happen next. So it was cute. But all right, y'all, that was my review of The Real Gangsters of Potomac, season 9, episode 3. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Let's have some conversation in the comments. I like to talk because let me tell y'all something. I love Real Housewives. I have watched every franchise except for the canceled ones, so except for Dallas, except for DC. And the most disheartening thing is when you have no one to talk to about it. And none of my friends watch it. My man doesn't watch it. So sometimes I'll make like a housewife reference and they're just like, they don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's talk about it, y'all. But bye, y'all.